Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, we give you our WWE Payback recap. NXT crowns a new champion with a 4-way Ironman match. Not really. We also have our NXT TakeOver Do-Over San Antonio. We talk about NJPW, and we're going to give you our predictions for All Out. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast.
One take. Professional, ladies and gentlemen. One fucking take. I couldn't even look.
Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Gimmick Nolte. And to my left, reunited and it feels so good. We had two beer. Or no, sorry, Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Allow us to bow our heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside
Didn't do
podcast.
that in one take.
Volume 170, Chapter 3, Verse 14, and the Good Smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It is all good. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat. Shout out to Kurt Stallion, friend of the show, now the latest member of the WWE roster. Big shout out to Kurt Stallion. Kudos to my man. Shout out to my sister, Jamise. Thank you for going with me to Seattle. I appreciate the love. Thanks for being the rock that weekend. It's good to be back. No internet, so that's why my black ass is sitting next to Bill, but that's all good, too.
Contracting COVID. And out there in Edwardsville, Illinois, we got two beers. Zach Bowman, what's going on, two beer?
I was wondering why Jason wasn't part of the sound check. I was like, I guess, fuck me. I guess I'm the one that just sounds like shit all the time. But he's actually in the building. So.
He's actually in the building,
He's
yeah.
in the building.
So how are you, Jack?
Oh, I'm like 5 beers deep. This homeschooling thing's great. I just make the kids hot dogs for lunch, and then I just crack open my first beer, and I just kind of, let it rip.
Jesus, that sounds nice. We're coming at you from my basement in South St. Louis, Missouri. There was it was a week of wrestling. Stuff happened. There was some good stuff, some not so good stuff, some terrible stuff, and then some real good Japanese stuff that we're going to have to get to as quickly as possible. Jason, why don't you tell us about F&B Eatery?
F&B Eatery on the corner of 3453 Southampton and Marquette, celebrating 5 years of being in business. 5 years, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very hard to do in the independent restaurant game to begin with, even more so in the 2020 era where this has been a big pie of hot bullshit. So, do yourself a favor. Do me a favor. Slide on in F&B Eatery. Go get the greatest burger that you've never heard of, and you can thank me for it later. Worst case scenario, snag a gift card on the way out. They're doing straight curbside, like I say, every week. Follow them on all your social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all F&B Eatery, one word. Check it out. Slide in. Do yourself a salad. Do my man Mike a salad. Tell him that Banned from Ringside sent you. F&B Eatery on the corner of 3453 Southampton and Marquette.
Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Jason, start us off.
I was upstairs and I was thinking, what do I want to talk about? Because we always do chronologically. In this case, we're going to talk about, obviously, Payback on Sunday night. And I was in the airport early Sunday morning or Monday morning on the way back from Seattle, and I started watching this, and I basically finished it when I got home around 4 o'clock, and I sat back and I thought about the whole thing, and I soaked it in, and I was like, what's the one thing that's jumping out that I didn't think that was going to happen that actually happened? So, Mr. Vagey, if you would not mind, slide over that big old spoon so I can have me a piece of humble pie. Biggest takeaway for me is Keith Lee beating Randy Orton clean as a whistle. This is the one
like,
thing.
I don't have a spoon over here.
This is the one thing I did not think was going to happen. That happened. They made Keith Lee look strong. I'm still not a fan of the music. I'm still not a fan of the ring gear, but that is irrelevant. They did the one thing that, at least in this scenario, I did not see coming. I saw Roman Reigns coming. It was just how they were going to do it. Everybody else is pretty irrelevant. Even the Golden Role Miles, I thought they might cough it up, but with Nia and Shayna Baszler, that's kind of that mismatched tag team, but I didn't think they were mismatched enough for WWE's liking, but hence wrong as usual. Just going back to Keith Lee for 30 seconds, the way he was presented in this match is at least a good positive sign. You kind of double down on that on Raw Monday night, where in the main event, even though he didn't take the pin, his finisher set up Randy Orton's pin on Seth Rollins. So you kind of give the assist to Keith Lee if Randy Orton is scoring the goal. How it goes from there, like I said before, WWE just doesn't get my benefit of the doubt at this point. They got to show it to me. And being in the show me state, I got to at least see it 2 or 3 different times before, it's starting to maybe resonate that this is what they're going to do with Keith Lee. But for me, biggest takeaway from Sunday night was Keith Lee winning clean over Randy Orton.
Zach, what was your biggest takeaway?
Definitely Keith Lee, although I had a slightly different outlook on it. I definitely appreciated that he won, but it was a similar pattern with Matt Riddle and Baron Corbin and Big E and Sheamus, where there were guys that got their hands raised but didn't necessarily get put over. I would say Keith Lee definitely in the lowest rung of that, because Randy Orton definitely did sell quite a bit for Keith Lee, although we didn't necessarily get to see what makes Keith Lee, right? Because Keith Lee has the potential to be the biggest star on the main roster. Like, he's got that potential, but you gotta have Keith Lee being Keith Lee. And what makes Keith Lee? Him doing stuff that his size does not necessarily suggest. And we didn't necessarily get to see that. I know, granted, it was a short match, and if you look at it on paper, Keith Lee goes over Randy Orton in 6 minutes. That's cool, right? Like, I'm definitely for it. That's the right decision. But with Matt Riddle and Baron Corbin, Baron Corbin beat Matt Riddle like a drum, and then he sneaks out a win. And the match was boring. How do you have a boring Matt Riddle match? Well, you put him in there with Baron Corbin, apparently. And with Big E and Sheamus, same kind of thing, right? Big E's so talented. He's such a great talker. He's so powerful, and he's got such a charismatic personality, and he just sells the entire time. And I think that's just indicative of Vince and him just saying all right, well, it's babyface heel, and we're just gonna have this babyface sell the entire time and not get into any offense. There's no shine. It's all heat, right? It's all heat and no shine. And I feel that was my biggest takeaway from the pay-per-view is all heat, no shine. And with Roman not even signing the contract until the middle of the match, I'm fine with him winning. I totally get it. But in storyline, this company is incompetent. They promoted and booked a match that the biggest star in it had not even signed the contract yet. In storyline, I'm saying, we all knew what was going to happen, but their storyline is that they don't know how to run a wrestling organization, and it doesn't have to be the storyline because we already know that that's reality. My favorite part of the entire pay-per-view, though, was actually the finish of the women's tag team match. Even though I think it's bonkers to take Bayley and Sasha out of a situation where they can be on all 3 shows because they're a highlight of WWE, and now we have Shayna and Nia who can make that circle, with the tag team belts. I don't think that's nearly as good of a team to be going on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. But I did love the finish where Shayna choked out Bayley with Sasha's arm. That was awesome. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Payback.
So you're giving it zero credit. You're giving them zero credit. They put over Riddle. They put over Keith Lee. They put over Big E. They put over Shayna. Nia Jax can fuck off. But, I mean, they put over Shayna. And Dominic Mysterio is also a young person. And
that was a good match.
It was a good match. And then they have Roman Reigns come in. I understand what you're saying, that of course they look incompetent because they never plan a main event until, an hour into the show every single Raw. Of course they're incompetent. But, I mean, for me, them having – and listen, this show, I didn't watch it when it happened. I mean, there's some shit that I'm watching for the first time right now as we're talking. But, like, this show had – Roman Reigns, they presented Roman Reigns as a complete heel. Like, that was the point of that. He comes out with Heyman. He doesn't sign it until the ring had until the ring had erupted. And then he beats the shit out of a couple guys with chairs and gets the win, and now he's the champion. I mean, I thought that it was – my biggest takeaway was that they presented Roman Reigns as a complete heel. And I know that they fuck up heel and babyface all the time, and I feel that, me going third on this podcast usually means that I have to play the WWE defender when I want to go first and talk shit about WWE. I'll take one for the team because obviously I'm the heel. That's what everybody says on Twitter. But I got to give them some credit for at least putting the right guys over. I mean, they didn't make a bad decision in terms of getting guys over. In fact, I think Lashley having the U.S. title against Apollo Crews and having Apollo Crews in chase mode against a faction of heels is probably the better move also.
I just think it's the difference between, like, putting them over and getting them over, right?
I mean,
the right people won, but, like, it's just, like, the way you go about it, it's like, it could be so much better, and it's just maybe it's me splitting hairs, right? Like, but
I get what you're saying about having. I mean, Big E and Sheamus is on the television right now, and I'm watching it. And at the beginning, Sheamus makes Big E look really good, and then Sheamus basically kicks his ass for about 8 minutes. I get it. That's not really getting Sheamus over, but he is getting the win. He did get. Big E, sorry. Big E does get the win. Big E does beat Sheamus with his finisher, which I've said it before, always looks like Big E is taking the move, but that is definitely splitting hairs, and his arm gets raised at the end. So I'm pretty happy with the outcome, at least. I'm surprised that they made this many good booking decisions. Jason, what do you think?
No, because I was going to say it, and since I've been throwing myself underneath the bus lately, throw myself underneath the bus again right now. If this was going the other way around, if this was Riddle losing to Corbin, if this was Randy Orton losing to Keith or beating Keith Lee, or what was the third one? Or Sheamus beating Big E.
We'd be killing them.
Yeah, we'd be running them down like nobody's fucking business. So, myself included. So I will give Bill credit on that sense. The booking decisions were right on the money. Even Roman Reigns, granted, I'm still not. I guess he's heel-ish. Okay, I'm still not saying he's a heel. He's heel-ish. Coming in the middle of the match, I get it. Yeah, that's what a heel would do. Let the ring implode, Shout out to Bo. That was one of the worst bumps I've ever seen in my life by Lil Nate. But,
oh, yeah.
Just brutal. But that's what you're supposed to do if you're Roman Reigns at that point, and everything else after that kind of just is about, this is the new Roman Reigns. Without Brock Lesnar under contract, Roman Reigns is going to essentially be the new Brock Lesnar. So those of us that want to see a long Roman Reigns run, this is probably going to be it. This is going to be here to WrestleMania at the least. I know we said it before, but this feels about right. So Roman Reigns is, to me, heel-ish. Outside of that, I mean, they did it right. The matches might not have been exciting to watch, but they got the booking right. And at the end of the day, That's kind of what I'm looking for. Did they put guys over? Yeah. Did they get guys over? I'm agreeing with Zach on that. Not so much. Big E doesn't feel any more special than he did coming in the door. Keith Lee is the one guy that jumps out because he beat Randy Orton. But Baron Corbin ain't shit. Okay, let's just call it for what it is. Baron Corbin ain't shit. And Sheamus is a mid-card heel at this point.
Yeah, but Sheamus, he's a mid-card heel who has been champ a few times, and also
have you been watching this?
Who wins a lot?
Have you been watching this?
I'm just talking about win-loss.
No, I'm okay, but okay, even more so. If you want to just talk win-loss, then this should have felt more important of a win for Big E than it did. It felt like, okay, cool, Big E won, but I didn't feel like, damn, okay, they getting ready to make a Big E, singles run on SmackDown. It felt no different.
It's his first singles match on the pay-per-view in a long fucking time. And he won over Sheamus, it's not like he won over Jinder Mahal. He won over Sheamus, who is also, come on.
We're arguing about the same thing, okay? It's just how they got there. That's the way we have the difference.
How about we get a Big E?
You know what's even worse? Because at least Big E gets that Talking Smack time, and he gets himself over to the small percentage of fans that are watching Talking Smack. But with Matt Riddle, they presented in storyline, they just mentioned that he's a bad husband, right?
Right.
Just mentioned it.
That's not exactly what he was accused of either.
No, that's the thing. So, they didn't give us any info about, it wasn't like they gave us, an actual kayfabe storyline. He just threw this jab out there. So people are like, oh, what's up with Matt Riddle being a bad husband? They're just going to see rape accusations.
Right.
And so, in storyline, Matt Riddle's a rapist. Dude, are you serious right now? That's all you have to get heat is, that's what you're trying to do to, get this guy over is, draw attention to, rape accusations?
Yeah.
That is the opposite of getting someone over. It's Matt Riddle. It's a no-brainer. It should be a home run.
Yeah.
Just like every other NXT call-up,
Right. Yeah.
But that's why I said I have some hope for Keith Lee. Outside of that, I mean, like I said, time will tell where they do and where they go with him. But for the moment, fingers crossed, it's a good start.
All right, let's keep it moving. Let's get to that, unless anybody has any final thoughts.
Dominic looked good. I give that little man credit.
He really does look good.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be champ anytime soon, but I did not want to think he'd be this good this quickly.
I mean, being in a ring, being in a SummerSlam match with Seth Rollins, having your dad be Rey Mysterio, and then the very next week you're in a tag team match with Buddy Murphy, Rollins, and Mysterio. I mean, that's about as good of an education as you're going to get.
He's swimming in the deep. He's hanging in there though. God bless that boy.
Good for him. Mm-hmm. Let's get to that. 2 counts.
1, 2, 3.
2 beer. What's the 2 count?
2 count. We had NXT TakeOver, and you'll have to forgive me. Somebody else can maybe fill in. The version that I watch occasionally when I don't catch it live is the Hulu version. So the Hulu version, the only thing on here was the 1-hour Ironman match because it's a slightly condensed version. I don't know why they have to condense the 2-hour show, but that's the way it is.
Right. Wednesday night NXT. I'll run down. I know that we want to talk. We'll run down the rest later. Let's start with the Ironman match.
Yeah, because that's the biggest thing, right?
For sure.
This was I actually dreamt about this match Monday night or Sunday night or something. I dreamt that I was there watching it with Kevin Owens. That's how much I was looking forward to this thing.
God damn, that's my dream too. I would love to go to an NXT and watch it with you and Kevin Owens.
Oh, it was
Jason,
awesome.
Jason could drive us there or something.
Yeah, because Jason has shit to do. Nothing going on.
We were watching it. Not on a television, but it wasn't live. Actually watching the match, it was but it was a 3D representation of the match, almost like it was live, but it was holographic. It was bonkers. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff I dream about. So I had high expectations for this match, and why wouldn't you? It's a 60-minute Ironman match with as they build at the Mount Rushmore of the current NXT lineup. all these guys have been NXT champions. One of them is going to be NXT champion for the second time, and that's only going to be the third time that has ever happened. And, Ironman matches are tough, and it's a tall order. And I think these guys, rose up to the occasion, but it definitely didn't, fulfill the expectations that I had for it. I think part of that is on the format of the match itself and it being so long. And part of it is, you really need a crowd and not just, a handful of wrestlers standing around beating on some plexiglass to really get some drama and some heat. But the last 15 minutes of this match were really, really good. But basically the story of the match is that everybody's tied at 1 except for Tommaso Ciampa, who is lagging behind, but then he gets a fall, so they're all tied at 1. And at the very last minute, Finn Balor gets a second fall, and then in the last 15 seconds, Adam Cole gets a last shot on Finn Balor to have a 2-on-2 or tie him for 2 falls. And then, of course, there's pandemonium because they're both arguing that, they should be the winner, and William Regal comes out and is apparently, even though he booked this match, very surprised that a 4-way Ironman match could end in a draw.
It's unbelievable, I know.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I never considered this. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there, I was mad. And I understand intellectually why you would do this. You want to get 2 nights out of this, right? And you want to generate heat because it's all about heat. And it's all about, getting people to tune in next week. And is a Finn Balor Adam Cole match going to be awesome? Yes, it is. And am I going to watch it? Yes, I am. But I was still super mad that they told me that at the end of my 1 hour that I invested that I was going to see a new champion crowned. And I didn't. And is that me getting worked? Is that me getting worked and being a mark? I don't know. Maybe it is, but really it just feels like some main roster pulling the rug out from under me shit. That's what it feels like to me. I feel injured and attacked by it because they basically are telling me that I'm a mark, and yeah, we did that, and yeah, we know that you're still going to tune in next week. That's the feeling that I get. It's not I want to see what happens kind of feeling. It's just I'm begrudgingly watching this because I know it's going to be good, and they know it's going to be good.
Yeah,
and they know that I'm going to watch it no matter what. They can do whatever they want, and I'm still going to watch. It's like an abusive relationship.
Kind of. Yeah, Jason, what did you think about the Iron Man match?
Oh shit, that was a little therapy session there. It honestly, at the end, it just made me feel like it was a little bit of a letdown. I'm not gonna go as far as TBZ over there, but I will agree that it's just you can have crown Finn Balor champion, argue that Adam Cole almost had the third count, could have had it. You could do a rematch. You can still get this. It's just how you go about it. It just feels like it's obviously set up, but now it's more. It feels like it was a more so of a setup. The match itself is fine. I think a Fatal 4-Way Iron Man match is a little different on how the working components kind of work off of each other. It was a little easier for people to get rest in a 4-way in this scenario versus if it was just like your regular Iron Man match, man versus man, or in the case of Impact, woman versus woman. But that's neither here nor there. Like I said, the match itself was good. I just don't like the ending because it feels like the ending was already destined to be this way. I
can't believe we didn't see it coming.
But part of me said that, okay, I know everybody's going to get tied with one pinfall, but then what? I just couldn't figure out who was going to be the next one to go over. When Finn Balor was the next person to get the pin, I was like, okay, this is perfect. We can leave it alone right here and then just kind of figure it out. And then once Adam Cole hit the last shot, I'm like, fuck, please bell ring. And then, of course, it's like, did the bell ring? Did he get the third count? I thought it was a fast count for the record. That's just me, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to have the rematch anyway, regardless, so whatever.
I mean, to Zach's point, they want to get 2 nights out of it. I would actually, they could have gotten 2 nights out of it also if they would have said, we're going to have Gargano versus Ciampa, or we're going to have, a 4-man tournament. We're going to have 2 matches that are going to be on NXT this night, and the 2 winners will face each other in a 1-man Ironman match or a half-hour Ironman match. It's like, to Zach's point, they didn't have to trick us. They could have gotten us with those 4 guys.
Oh, yeah.
Any single way they wanted to.
Yeah.
They could have had a tornado match, and maybe the last 2 guys get to face next week, and the guy who wins gets to pick the stipulation or something like
that.
Something like that.
Agree.
Let me book the territory. But the last 2, and I say main roster because I'm kind of treating NXT as main roster these days, but the last 2 Ironman matches that I can think of was Rollins versus Ziggler at some pay-per-view. Remember, and Rollins won like 7-5 or something. It was a half hour, and there was 12 pinfalls.
Yeah.
I think Rollins won with 7.
Sounds right, yeah.
And then this one where everybody was tied at 1, and I just think there's so much more storytelling that you can do within an hour-long 4-way Ironman match than have them all tied up at 1 and then have 2 guys get real quick pins in the last couple minutes. Like, have a guy go up 2-0 real fast or something. There's other ways to do it. Have it be 0-0-0-0 until the last 10 minutes or something.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Something like that. There is, I don't know, they just get too cute with the booking. And listen, I've obviously never booked a territory, and Ironman matches don't come around very often, and maybe they feel, and it's tough to say that it was overbooked. I mean, it wasn't overbooked. I would say those are the Mount Rushmore of NXT wrestlers now. I was expecting a whole bunch, and I really didn't like the finish. That's all.
Man, wow. I'm sorry, Tubier. I'll let you jump in 30 seconds. The finish, it's the analogy we make about the airplane, taking a trip. The trip has to be complete from start to finish, from getting onto the plane, buckling in, stewardess, takeoff, flight, landing. For me, everything was cool until the landing. The landing was was like, okay, hey, Jay, how was your trip, man? It was cool, but the landing was a little rough. That's what this is. The finish.
Or it was cool, but I died.
No, that not be died. I mean, this motherfucker. But the finish is what I think the problem is, because the finish is what we remember, and I don't think that we had to go that route. You could have easily had Finn Balor win, and nobody would have batted an eye. Or you could have had Adam Cole win, or any of these guys win for this matter. I'm just saying Finn Balor because, once he went up, I was like, okay, this is cool. Finn Balor, came back to NXT, give him, a little reward for being coming back to NXT. These other guys, they're going to, Ciampa might be the only one you might have to worry about not getting the title again, just because his health is always, tenuous at best. But I just don't think that the finish should take away too much from the match. Should it? Yeah, because it's a part of it, but not too much from it.
Hey, Zach, who wins next week?
I got to think Finn Balor, because that's who I was thinking was going to win this match before the match started. I feel like even though Adam Cole is great, he's one of the greatest. He's just so good. I got to think that a second Adam Cole title run is just a little stale, right? And I got to think what's good for business is to put, Finn Balor. He was a great champion. He hasn't had it in 5 years. And I think it's his time to shine.
He's also the most recognizable out of all those guys to WWE mainstream fans that might not tune in on Wednesday nights. Jason, do you agree with Zach and I that Finn Balor takes it next week?
Yeah, because you figure it's the time the clock is ticking on Adam Cole for him to move up. It would be the rub that what I would consider the rub, where you face the guy and then you actually win said match. He would win said match. He would be the new NXT champion. You would have options from there, plenty of options. Cross obviously being one, Ciampa, Gargano. You can make moves with that. I like the fact that just to what you guys said earlier, the Too Sweet moment. That was something we've all kind of wanted to see happen. At least I wanted to see happen. And for that 5 seconds, they threw us that bone. They didn't give us Ciampa and Gargano until more towards the end of it. They kind of focused on the other 3 guys. So, I mean, like I said, the match itself was good. It's just the finish was like, oh, come on, don't do this shit. Of course, I'm sitting at the home, getting all pissed off and shit because they went like that. But, it is what it is. I'm not going to, totally shit on the match. Like I said, the match was good. The finish sucked.
Yeah, and all 4 of those guys fucking rule. We don't have to belabor the point. The rest of NXT, not a whole lot happened. Swerve and Breezango beat Legado del Fantasma.
Yes. Yes. It's Fantasma, damn it. It's with the F, not a P. That's why I kept fucking it up.
What were you saying?
I was thinking it was...
Phantasma?
Yeah, PH.
El Phantasmo, like the
right.
New Japan guy.
Yeah.
Candice LeRae squashed Katie Catanzaro and then called out Tegan Knox. I still don't know what Tegan Knox looks like. I can't picture her.
I love that sentence.
You ain't shit.
What sentence?
Candice LeRae squashed Katie Catanzaro and called out Tegan Knox. Like, there's just a lot of going on in my... it's like a hamster in my brain just running.
Timothy Thatcher, who I'm liking more and more, beat the colossal Bronson Reed, which in a pretty short match, but they were on a time. I mean, if you're gonna have an hour Ironman match, you got to be on time. Yeah, so I get that.
One of these matches didn't need to be on TV, but go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't know, not a whole lot else. So we can keep it moving.
Yeah, just not a great NXT. It just feels like, like you said, they did it in a fatal 4-way where they should have just had 2 singles matches. Hell, have them for 30 minutes. The last hour you have Ciampa versus Adam Cole. You got Gargano versus Finn Balor. Ooh. The winners next week. Face for the title.
Yeah,
that's the last hour of NXT. And you don't the first hour you got that.
God, let us book the territory.
Jesus Christ, too easy.
Without further ado, let's get to that third count.
Dumbasses.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so the 3 count is the Summer Struggle in New Japan Pro Wrestling that happened. When was that? Saturday.
Yes, it was Friday. You slept in. Yeah, Saturday. I still had internet. Go ahead. Yes.
The biggest news coming out of that, and I bet your boy Jason Cornelius Bell is pretty happy about this.
A little bit.
That Naito wins back both belts from Evil in a. They were outside of the baseball stadium. Jason, what was your reaction when your boy won back the Intercontinental and Heavyweight Championship belts from Evil?
I was obviously surprised. I really was waiting for the usual Bullet Club okie doke, which did come out, but then Sonata and Bushi finally came out, saved the day. So I was like, okay, well, this has a chance, but this is when I expected Naito to be used to put over Evil again. It's like the double down theory. We made him champion, and now we're going to really reinforce the championship move by having him go over Naito one-on-one, straight up, no Bullet Club, no anything. So when it happened, I was instantly surprised, and it took me back for 30 seconds. I'm sitting there, watching this shit unfold, and I didn't know what to think. So, it took me, like I said, it took me by surprise, but I had to take it in, and they did it the whole, outside. I think this is what they wanted to do the first time around. I shouldn't say that. They wanted to do, if this is what they wanted to do this time around, they wanted to do it on this stage where you had the open stadium, you can have the fireworks in the background, you can kind of reboot the Naito double championship run, where it kind of sounds like in his post-match press conference, this is going to be a true double championship run where he will, in theory, defend both titles separately on the same card. So that's the intriguing part, but this might be the swan song to the end of a long and illustrious career. But nonetheless, yes, I was very excited, but nonetheless surprised, because I really thought that this was going to get Evil over, cement him as the top of Bullet Club. Then Jay White comes back, and they would have the internal struggle within Bullet Club at the top of the food chain between Jay White and Evil.
Zach, what did you think? Was it spoiled for you?
It was not spoiled for me. No, I was able to watch it before I looked at anything, so that was good. But yeah, I was also very surprised and happy. It was also a fitting setting. If you're a Naito fan, you know he's also like a big baseball fan, so like him winning in Jingu Stadium was pretty cool. It's a baseball stadium, and I really enjoyed they've done a couple of these shows, but I really enjoyed the open air atmosphere and like the extra amount of fans that they have, and even like the gimmick that they have where they put the they give them the gimmick and they cheer, boo, and it pipes in like crowd noise, like fake crowd noise.
Sorry, man. If I'm going to call WWE to the carpet on it, I love New Japan. We all know it. I just it's not for me. I'd rather just kind of
they give it to the. I like that they give it to the audience, and then the audience can like control it.
Okay, fair enough. Like I said, that's
yeah. I don't love the canned stuff myself. I'm with you there, but I like that at least they're doing a little something fan interaction.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it all.
No, I know, and this has been an ongoing discussion, and I'm not saying that you guys are right or I'm right on this one. I think it's no. Honestly, look, you know me well enough to know if I wanted to say that I was right, God damn it, I would just.
No, I'm just saying that I'm right. I don't give a fuck about you. What the
fuck? That's fucked up.
All right, go ahead, Zach.
No, that's it, really. I mean, it was a really good show, 6 matches, and 4 of which were pretty great. Really felt like, for the first time since maybe New Japan was like initially back, and we had that, kind of elated feeling of, oh, New Japan's back, and they were doing some hard-hitting matches that were pretty good. But then I don't want to necessarily put it all on Evil or anything, but I feel like it's just been a lull, like a pandemic lull. And they've had some bumps in the road, but this really felt like a show, and I loved it. And it was tight and compact. It was less than 3 hours, even with the intermissions for like cleaning the ring and stuff. And yeah, it was just the New Japan that know and love. Ref bumps included. I mean, there was way too many ref bumps, but that's
New Japan
anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it just. I saw all the interference happening, and I just thought that Evil was going to win. I thought there was no way. And then when Naito won, I was like, holy shit. So I wonder what the point of putting it on Evil, well, I guess, I don't know. I like
to make a new star, right? Like, because just to elevate him, I guess.
I guess, and like and they had kind of mentioned it before, and it is what it is. You can call it hot shot in the title or not, but there are guys that have never defended. It's the Sasha Banks theory. There's people in New Japan that never successfully defended a title. We're just so don't want to say brainwashed, but I'll just say programmed to think certain ways about certain things. Oh, so-and-so just won the title, so he's not going to lose for a little bit. Usually the first one we give them, and then maybe the second or the third you give them, and then it kind of goes from there. New Japan just don't give a fuck, okay?
Yeah.
And in this scenario, I mean...
And it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. And
the evil win was surprising to all of us.
And, by that point, like I said, he was Benedict Arnold to me, and he's still Benedict Arnold to me. The Hiromu title defense wasn't a surprise. You can kind of see that coming in, and it's set up. Hiromu losing earlier in this card or whatever to Ishimori. So, I mean,
that match ruled.
That match was really good. We can go into that in a second. But just to close this up, like I said, I think they did it to kind of elevate Evil, but this might have still been a plot to get it back to Naito to then, like I said, the double title theory, I think, is going to start to come into play and here in a little bit where ultimately Wrestle Kingdom, he might have to hold 2 championship matches on the same night.
When does G1 start?
September.
It is September.
Yeah, it's this month. It's towards the latter part of the month. I think it's like the 23rd.
They haven't announced it yet. They haven't announced the blocks yet, have they?
No.
Oh, that's going to be
Not
exciting.
the blocks, no.
Okay, we also had Sabre Jr. and Taichi. They held on to their belts against Golden Ace in what was also a very good match. What you think about that one, Zach?
Oh, man, I love the Golden Ace team, and I love Jason mentioned swan songs. This is Tanahashi's swan song, right? Like, it is in storyline. This guy's having problems, but at the same time, he's like still the greatest. It's funny because WWE does this stuff. Like, they'll tell you Rey Mysterio's old, even though he's got a great body and he moves like he's 22.
Yeah,
and
Mysterio's
he wears a
real.
mask. Yeah,
Right.
he wears a mask. You can't even see what his face looks like, and they're like, he's like, that's like storyline. It's like, he's past his prime, you know. And it's like, actually, you know, he's like one of the best promos in the company and one of the best wrestlers in the company, and he could actually be your top guy if you wanted him to be, if you just, you know, get behind him. Whereas like Tanahashi really, like, even though he's the greatest, and like right now he's in one of the greatest things Tanahashi does is selling, and he's in selling mode. He's, you know, selling his knees, which is an actual like problem that he has. And they bring this in, and then you got Ibushi, who, even though he's no spring chicken himself, he very much looks like one. He looks 25 and he's like 38, 39, and he bumps like he's 25, and he very much, like, I expect a Ibushi title reign, IWGP title reign in the future, like in the near future, and a good defensible lengthy one. And to have like kind of new generation, old generation, 2 of the greatest wrestlers in the world, like, just, I love that dynamic. It's like if what were Hogan and Savage called, like the Towers of Power,
The Mega Powers.
Mega Powers.
The Mega Powers. It's like if the Mega Powers could actually wrestle, right? So, or maybe if both of them could wrestle.
Whoa, hey, step away from that beer. Put that beer down, goddammit. One of those guys I know can wrestle. The other one, I want to go see that New Japan archive to see what the fuck he's doing non-WWE shit, okay? You better slow that shit down.
He did okay in Japan whenever he would.
Okay, that's what I want to see. I've been curious about that lately. But no, you better stop that Randy Savage blasphemy right now.
Jason, what do you think about Hiromu and Ishimori?
It continued the story of the already damaged shoulder that Hiromu had coming into the match. Now, obviously, Hiromu came back earlier in the Summer Struggle Tour and made the save on Naito or whatever in one of the multi-man matches leading up to the title match, but it came back to kind of bite him in the ass again, even though this is classic Hiromu, you know, fighting from underneath, always coming back hard. You know, this is what I really don't think. If they've had 5 matches between these two guys, I cannot think of any of these 5 matches that are, since we're getting ready to start doing grades here in a little bit, they're less than, 3.5 stars. These two guys have really good chemistry together. And like I said, this is great about New Japan, is that they use the injured arm angle all the way up to the title match itself. And then obviously the finish with the submission to kind of put the bow on the storyline itself is just, it's classic New Japan. But like I said, the bad part about 2020 is that we didn't really get to see a lot of the tournaments that, we're used to seeing. And Best of Super Juniors is one of my favorites because it focuses on the smaller guys. And these two guys are the cream of the crop of the division itself. And it was another great junior heavyweight match.
And yeah, that was my favorite match of the night. And then I didn't actually get to watch Suzuki versus Shingo. Why don't you tell me about it, Jason?
When I said it, I was thinking about what did Suzuki talk about? What does Suzuki talk about? So obviously it comes to Shingo, and I immediately was just like, oh, this is just going to be an absolute banger of a match. If this was old, pre-COVID, this match would have been in the stands, probably outside. There would have been all kinds of havoc. Nonetheless, there was still all kinds of havoc, but it was just physical havoc inside the ring. A little bit of a surprise, I guess, but not really when Suzuki wins. But considering the history of the Neverweight Championship, I think Shingo holds the record for consecutive title defenses. It's like 4 or 5, sounds right. So, I mean, it's not a title that has long reigns to begin with. But the match itself, if you want to see two guys just beating the shit out of each other for about 15 to 20 minutes, that's the match to watch. It was probably my favorite match, and that includes Naito because I just didn't see that coming, so I had to watch it a second time to kind of soak that Joker in that he's champion. But the match that I wanted to see and was most excited about seeing coming in was Shingo versus Suzuki, and it just lived up to at least the hype in my mind.
All right, thoughts on that, Zach?
Yeah, hard hitting and a lot of fun. And like Jason said, I actually was a little bit surprised, but then whenever I thought back on it, it's like, yeah, the Never belt is not known for longevity. It's known to be the hard hitting and often changed because it commands like a style to where it's just badass after badass, like just beating each other up for this thing. So, but it was a really good match. Those headbutts looked severe. I will say that.
All right.
Just one quick thought on the Tanahashi deal.
Sure.
You said G1. I wouldn't be surprised if Kota and Tanahashi were in the same bracket. And part of the reason why I like the tag team match is the Tanahashi storyline. I know I'm beating that storyline to death, but just watching the decline or the twilight of Tanahashi's career, especially for me, who all I've ever known is Tanahashi being the ace of New Japan, to watch this story being told is absolutely fascinating.
All right, that's going to do it for our 3 counts.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so we're headed to January of 2017 for NXT TakeOver San Antonio. Nakamura comes in with the belt, Asuka comes in with the belt, and DIY has the tag belts. The curtain jerker, as it were, was Ty Dillinger versus Eric Young. This is Sanity's first appearance on an NXT TakeOver, unless you guys didn't do a TakeOver while I was gone, did you?
No.
Okay, so it's Sanity's first appearance on a TakeOver. EY gets the win. He is currently, isn't he currently the champ?
Yeah, he won on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Impact's so good. Take that.
Man, I know. I mean, I do have to start watching it. But EY versus Ty Dillinger, I've never been a Ty Dillinger fan. Still not a Ty Dillinger fan. I'll give it 1.75 stars. What do you have, Jason?
As I grabbed the Ty Dillinger shirt that I did not even realize I grabbed until I was physically walking out of the door.
First thing I noticed.
Yeah, I bet you did, because you don't like Ty Dillinger. I say that. This is neither here nor there. The bad part about this is that you can kind of see this one coming, and the match itself was good. The finish predictable. What did I give it? I think I gave it 2.5 stars.
All right, Zach, what do you got?
Yeah, I seem to like it definitely more than Bill. But I gave it 2.75. Like, kind of reminded me. I mean, Eric Young reminded me that he could work on the last Impact pay-per-view, but this reminded me that Eric Young actually did some work in NXT. Also, you just didn't really see that much of it.
He was cool. He's cool.
No, I think Eric Young gets a really bad rap, and I haven't seen that Impact match from Tuesday or whatever, but I'm going to check it out sometime this weekend. They dropped the ball.
As Cody would say, Sean Spears is a good hand, and felt like it was a good match. It was a good curtain jerker. So, yeah, I gave it 2.75.
Next up, we have Andrade Cien Almas versus Roderick Strong. I could watch these guys wrestle forever. Zach, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, for sure. These guys are both really, really excellent. I gave this one 3 1/4. It was funny to see babyface Roddy because he's been a heel for a long time. He turned like 2 years ago or more, probably more. We haven't seen babyface Roddy in a while. And, this is like Andrade really finally starting to get some of the charisma that he had in New Japan and CMLL into his NXT run. So he's like starting to smooth things out, the whole tranquilo aspect of his game. But yeah, I gave us 3 1/4. It was just a really well wrestled match. Nothing like super special though.
I gave it 3 3/4, 3.75. I think if it would have got another 5 minutes, it could have gone up to a 4.5. I fucking loved this match. I think these guys work really well together. I've said it before that, I mean, with the NXT roster, constantly shifting and changing, but at any given time, Roderick Strong might be my favorite worker in the whole dang promotion. I gave it 3.75. What do you got, Jason?
I gave it 3 stars. It's no disrespect to the guys in the match itself. It just felt like it lingered a little bit too long for my liking. Maybe the crowd didn't jump into it, but it almost felt like, why is this match happening? And it felt like the crowd was kind of asking that same thing. But when the match started, the action kind of picked up. They kind of got into it towards the end. Watching a babyface Roddy like TBZ said is weird to watch because I'm just so used to him being Undisputed Era. The heel turn for Undisputed Era was, you didn't see that Joker coming for shit. So that's what I'm just used to. So maybe I looked at this match differently because of it. Like I said, 3 stars.
Were you guys, I'm talking about NXT TakeOver San Antonio from January 2017. We're talking about the same pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
Talking about the same one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Coming up next, we had the Authors of Pain. You remember those dudes versus DIY for the tag belts? Man, Paul Ellering added a lot to this act. Jason, I'll let you go first. AOP goes over, takes the tag belts. What kind of star rating did you give it?
I gave it 3 3/4, 3.75. It was the storytelling of finally getting to the promised land for AOP and watching not the heels, but the baby faces look like they're getting ready to get over, and just, falling a little bit short. It would have been a little hard to tell the story of how DIY gets over on this gargantuan tag team, and they did the one thing that is, I think it's sometimes hard to do is, I know you love these guys, 2 beers, Zach, but guess what? We're just going to have to crush you for a little bit and have the right guys going over. Good match, good booking, 3 3/4 stars.
I gave it the exact same thing, 3 3/4 stars. I mean, what else can you say? I love watching DIY work as the smaller guys versus those monsters. I can't wait to see Ciampa versus Cross when it eventually happens. I mean, I know it happened once. I just like the whole dynamic. Like I said, Paul Ellering adds a lot to that act. They were fun while they lasted. Of course, we'll probably never see them again. 3 3/4 stars. Zach, what you got?
Yeah, I actually gave it the exact same score, which is kind of boring. But, or maybe it's just accurate representation of what it was. But it was a fun match. And what's going on with those guys?
One was hurt, and this is. I'm not going to turn this to fuck that shit. I'm going to turn it into a shit show or shit on these motherfuckers for 30 seconds. These motherfuckers can't get a fucking
He's heating up.
They cannot fucking create a new star for shit. Where the fuck is Jimmy Uso, or whichever the Usos was that was doing the karaoke a few weeks ago when that shit went south? You ain't seen them motherfuckers since. Okay, we just talked about these motherfuckers. They cannot create stars. They buy stars, boys and girls. Name the last motherfucker, and besides Roman Reigns, I'll give you Roman Reigns. Name the last homegrown talent that they have built from ground one, Charlotte. That you can say, oh, we did this. No, they don't do that. They buy the fucking talent because Vince has deep pockets. That's why if there's a god of wrestling karma,
Sasha Banks?
that it depends on who you ask. You ask me, I say yes. You ask other people, they say that she's a botching machine. Neither here nor there. My goal for 2020.
But she's a star, though.
She's a star. Homegrown star. I'll give you that. You can throw in Bayley, too.
Thank you.
Outside of that, I think I'm kind of making my point. Bayley's
just behind Charlotte and days of combined reigns right now.
Where's it? Yeah, right. Where's this Buddy Murphy rub that we heard about when him and Roman Reigns crossed paths?
Buddy Murphy is getting a rub. No, Buddy Murphy is walking around with Seth Rollins. Maybe their most consistent main event, main card talent.
Okay,
I think Buddy Murphy's in a good spot right now.
I do too.
All right, then we're getting off sidetracked. My point is WWE can't create new stars. When Buddy Murphy goes off on his own, then let's talk. Right now, he can get the rub from Seth Rollins. That's a good start. If you want to call it the rub, I want to see more, and it's got to be proven to me first.
Dominic Mysterio.
Oh, whatever. He's got 3 matches. Jesus Christ.
Next up, we had a women's 4-way between Asuka, Nikki Cross, and the Iconics, who broke up this week. Asuka goes over. I don't know what. What are you laughing about?
If you seen Eddie Murphy, which one is that? Is Eddie Murphy Raw?
Delirious?
No, it's Raw when he's talking about the Italian guy going to see Rocky, and you know how they come out all pumped, and he's like, "Yeah, hey, Rocco, yeah, Rocco," and so he bumps into his friend or whatever. He's like, "Hey, I don't want to spoil it, but Rocky wins this one too." This feels like Asuka is kind of like, "Hey, I hate to spoil the surprise, but Asuka won again."
Asuka won again. I don't remember this match happening at all. I don't remember the Iconics being in a fatal 4-way match. Asuka wins again. There's not much to say about this match. There was one big bump that Nikki Cross took her out. Peyton Royce did a move on Asuka, which I was like, holy shit. I can't remember another time I've ever seen Peyton Royce do a move. This was whatever, 2.25. Zach.
I give it 1.5.
Damn.
Jason?
Wow. What'd I give this? 2 2/4 or 2 1/4. Don't get me wrong. I get it. It's the 3 things it's the Peyton Royce bump with Asuka that was like one of her biggest bumps. I won't say that. They're making her a singles talent for a reason. Whatever this finishing move is hot. Now, what you can do around that is something totally different. Nikki Cross taking herself out basically sets up her and Asuka at some point. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the next pay-per-view we do. And Asuka just being the
Peyton
dominant.
Royce versus Asuka?
No.
Oh.
The reason why they broke up the Iconics on Raw is because they're it looks like they're going to focus on Peyton Royce as the single star.
I got you.
And like I said,
I thought they were breaking them up because they're breaking up literally every team that exists. I thought that was the plan.
Well, you got to have some competition for Nia and Shayna as tag team champs. I mean, why have an established tag team in front of them?
Yeah, I mean, a team that was basically broken up before they even started. I mean, Shayna's like, yeah, I'll help you win these things, but then don't bother me after that. That's a real solid tag team that's got those belts right now.
Well, It's that mismatch.
Man, I need a sad trombone patch for fucking every time Zach fucking kills WWE. Zach, next up we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bobby Roode, the glorious Bobby Roode for the NXT heavyweight title. Bobby Roode goes over. What kind of star rating do you give it?
I gave this one 4.25. Really good main event match. Nothing like overly exceptional. The best thing about it, besides the awesome entrance, like Bobby Roode doing his like Ric Flair Chi-Town Rumble 1989 entrance.
You fucking stole my thunder, you son of a bitch.
Oh yeah,
I hate
it's
you.
totally like I watched those recently, so like the trilogy, that's the first of the Steamboat trilogy. So like he like comes in and like does that, and he has the models with him, and then Shinsuke's got the dope takeover entrance. And the best part about this was the selling of Shinsuke Nakamura. It's like Nakamura like pretty much like channeling his inner Tanahashi and selling his knee masterfully. So that was the best part of the match for me. But these guys were fantastic.
Yeah. Jason, what you give it?
Same grade, 4.25. You know how I am about my entrances. When Bobby Roode did that, and for whatever reason, I forgot that he had made this entrance. I looked at him like, this is fucking Ric Flair, son of a bitch. So you have that. You have the usual Nakamura entrance. You have a great match. Like TBZ said, the knee came into play off of Kinshasa, where he could have had the pin, but Bobby Roode rolls out of the ring. So I mean, it all wrapped into one big great match. It had the big match feel. It came through. Bobby Roode solidifies himself as the top heel. When the doctors are checking on Nakamura, he sneaks attacks him from behind and finishes him off. It's about as good as you could do it without being absolutely perfect. 4.25.
I gave it 4.5 for much of the same reason that Jason just said. I mean, that is a main event. From the entrances, both those guys have had tremendous entrances. Mm-hmm. The pacing was really good from early on. Like, they started off slow and they built to a crescendo. There was some great story. You know how I love the injury angle in the storytelling. I love this match. I was close to giving it 4 3/4, but I don't like to get too carried away. But 4.5. I mean, and you know what? I actually forgot that Bobby Roode won this match, so I was kind of taken by surprise when he went over. So I gave it 4.5 stars. That's it for San Antonio. I believe next week is Chicago, maybe NXT Chicago. I don't know. We'll look it up.
I'll say it's been too long. I haven't looked.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that's the best one that we've seen so far, but it was definitely.
It's a top 5 for sure.
It was definitely top 5. Would you agree with that, 2Beer? 2Beer, you there?
I had to take myself off mute. But yes.
Why you got yourself
courteous? And my courtesy ruined the podcast.
Yeah, fucking A. Good job. Okay.
I say, give a motherfucker a heads up when you do that sort of shit.
This is banned from Ringside.
All right, boys. Oh, yeah. It's time for those predictions.
I almost forgot we were doing predictions.
Oh, we got a bunch of predictions, and we got 25 minutes to give them, so we can really stretch our legs on this one.
I'm going to put the dick in predictions.
You ain't shit.
So, we have All Out this Saturday night. There are a bunch of matches on this card, so I'm going to start, wherever I want, pretty much. Let's start with the Dark Order versus the Babyfaces. The Babyfaces being Cardona, QT Marshall, Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, and who am I forgetting?
Dude, God, man.
Who am I forgetting?
This is one of those times where I'm glad I'm physically close enough to reach out and make Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Ta-Nehisi Coates?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Scorpio Sky.
Thank you.
Okay.
I was about to say, man, what?
Thanks, Zach. I thought that Scorpio Sky was in a feud with Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, MVP, Bobby Lashley, Ricochet, and Apollo Crews.
It's multi-promotional.
My bad. And Scorpio Sky. Okay, so I'm going to take the Dark Order here because there is no reason to have these baby faces go over this team that has seemingly been up and coming for the duration of AEW since it began. So I'm going Dark Order. Zach, what do you got?
Who's all in the match again?
It's Dark Order, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, and 8 or whatever the fuck their names are, versus QT Marshall, Dustin Rhodes, Scorpio Sky, and Matt Cardona. Zach Ryder.
That's tough. You know what? I'm actually going baby faces just because I feel like you're opening a major pay-per-view, get everybody happy. And if Matt Cardona wasn't in there, I would probably go the other way.
Well, I don't know if this is the curtain jerker though. We're just leading off with it for the predictions.
We're just leading off with it.
Yeah.
I'll still keep it because of Matt Cardona.
Okay.
I know it's a multi-man and he could not lose, but I feel like you give him a win on a pay-per-view. He's looking jacked, baby. He's looking real jacked. He's looking even more jacked.
Who you got, J-Bell?
I'm gonna take the baby faces too, just for that sole reason. If it was anybody but, like you said, the number Dark Order, I would take the Dark Order just because I think they need to keep that momentum going off of the big Brody Lee squash on Cody Rhodes. But I just got this sneaky suspicion this is a win for the baby faces to kind of get the momentum back. We're not killing each other by doing 50-50 at this point, even though it is in this scenario 50-50. But I like the baby faces just for the fact that it's Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky being a very close second reason to do it, just because if he's going to be on Dynamite on a permanent basis, you got to give him a reason to be on Dynamite. This is a reason.
Okay, coming up next, we have Hikaru Shida versus Thunder Rosa from NWA. She's the NWA champ, and they are fighting for the AEW championship. I'm going to go with Shida. Jason, who you got?
Obviously, you got to go Shida. I think that quiet as it's kept, Thunder Rosa, I think, is going to make her mark on a starving women's division. Not saying that she's going to go to AEW, but I think that those AEW fans that like women's wrestling, that want to see a good match, are going to be pleasantly surprised by Thunder Rosa. She's been good on NWA. I saw her last, I guess that was yesterday on Dynamite against Serena Deeb. I thought that was a good match. I think her and Shida are going to have a nice little knockdown, drag out 15, 20-minute match. But obviously, I think Shida retains the title.
2 beers, Zach.
Yeah, for sure. This, I think, was made just so that Hikaru Shida could have a good match on a pay-per-view. I really think that that's the bottom line. But I don't see Thunder Rosa going over or anything. This is just a one-time kind of deal. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some chicanery and this actually ended in a no contest. But that's not the kind of predictions we do. We predict who's going to end up with the title at the end of it.
That's right.
I think it's going to be Hikaru Shida.
Okay, coming up next, we have Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. If he loses, Matt Hardy has to leave AEW. Zach, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, if not for this stip, I would actually think that they would give Sammy a win, right? But because of the stip, Matt Hardy's not leaving AEW, right? He's just not. He's too valuable of an on-screen personality, even if they were just shifting him to the back, right? Because AEW doesn't necessarily have a developmental, and if they were to create one, Matt Hardy would be at the top of the list of people that would be teaching one of those classes. But he's too valuable. He's not leaving.
Jason.
I think this is the swerve, and maybe it's just me looking for the swerve, or when I saw it, it just kind of jumped out at me. But I'm going to go ahead and take Sammy Guevara, and here's the reason why. I don't think that it's physically that Matt Hardy is leaving AEW. I think the character Matt Hardy would leave AEW. It's not like he hadn't have 2 or 3 others in his back pocket somewhere. Okay, so that's why I'm thinking you're going with Sammy Guevara. It's a broken match or whatever. So basically, no holds barred match. This is it's about building new stars. I have more confidence about AEW building a new star, and this is a perfect time to do it. If Matt Hardy loses, it's not like he's leaving, and he puts the next guy over. You bring the next Matt Hardy version in, whatever it may be, and you go from there. Sammy Guevara.
You know what? I want to change my vote now but I'm not going to because that's not fair.
I know, he convinced me.
Give me my $1 back. Yeah, I mean, I was going to take Hardy too because I think that Sammy Guevara doesn't actually need this win. I think Sammy Guevara is such a fucking piece of shit, slimy Chris Jericho sycophant. He's doing the Bob Dylan signs. He's such an asshole that I think that he could actually lose this match and not be affected at all, really.
I agree with that.
So I'm going to stick with Hardy just because I want to show that I'm right instead of being convinced by Jason to be wrong. Next up, we have Britt Baker versus Big Swole in something called a tooth and nail match. I'm going to take Swole here because I don't even think Britt Baker's 100% yet. Is she? I mean,
shit, she whacked that crutch over her back and super kicked Swole in the mouth. She looked 100% to me.
I'm taking Big Swole. Who you got?
Man, this is because it is the pre-show match or whatever they're calling it. I can't even think of what AEW calls their pre-show matches or whatever. The buy-in. Thank you. God, I'm so smart sometimes. I'm taking Britt Baker. I mean, she's coming back from injury. I think even in injury, her heel character has been absolutely amazing. There's more for her to gain by winning, so that way Swole's back in chase mode. You can bring that back on to Dynamite on Wednesday and start a storyline with a healthy Britt Baker, because this is going to be obviously a match, and Swole on TV and move from there. I'm taking Britt Baker.
Zach.
I'm going to go Big Swole just because, she's had, all this time to... this thing has been going on for a while, right? And I feel like we just need some resolution. I don't know that we're necessarily going for heat here. I think we're just looking for a little shine for Big Swole. And Britt Baker can absorb a loss and look like a nerd and still come out of it at the end. So I'm going to go Big Swole.
All right. Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus FTR for the belts. There's a potential for a lot of storyline, maybe some backstabbing here,
some fuckery going on,
some chicanery, as they would say. I'm going to say now is the time to take the belts off of Page and Omega, and I'm taking FTR. Zach, what say you?
This is the best storyline in AEW, hands down, and it's not surprising because it involves 3 out of 4 of the Elite, or 3 out of 5, I guess, overall. 4 out of 5. God, I'm just really bad at counting. 4 out of 5 of the Elite. So, just the fact that I am so invested in this, week to week, and I feel like the natural progression of this is to get these belts off of Page and Omega, even though that unfortunately might mean the end of Page and Omega, which is arguably the greatest just thrown together tag team ever. I can't think of a better one. There was some really fun stuff in the 90s, WWF, where they throw a couple guys together and they win the tag belts. Even more recently with Daniel Bryan and Kane, right? That was kind of fun. But Page and Omega just put on these banger matches, and they've been really solidified these titles as something special. But I think it's time for FTR. I think then we get the Young Bucks in chase mode, and then we maybe get a 3-way or something. I know I'm speaking Bill's language. He's got a little chest going on.
Not a little one. I mean,
FTR.
Big for me. Little all over.
Shit, that's great.
Jason, what do you got?
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to not see FTR winning the titles. I think going back to the plane analogy is how do we get there? I think with Kenny leaving Adam Page on Wednesday night show in the ring by himself gives another angle of how this may go down. Maybe it's Kenny that's the one that's just going to be like, you know what, fuck this. I'm sick of Page too. Page can, take the loss or whatever, because FTR is not going to take it, easy on Adam Page or whatever. So you have that dynamic. You have the obvious dynamic that Adam Page flips on Kenny Omega, but we have seen heel Kenny, the cleaner rear his ugly head the last couple of weeks on Marco Stunt. So anything is possible, but that's what I like about wrestling, because you have options, you have possibilities, and I kept guessing, but the finish to me is pretty guaranteed. I'm taking FTR to win the titles.
Okay, up next we have the 21-man Battle Royal. You guys need me to name all these guys, or do you guys have a pretty good idea of who you think's going to win? Because I think that we should all, because the winner here gets an
title
AEW
shot, right?
World Championship match. I know who I want to pick for my number one. What do you guys want to say? You guys want to say everybody just gives one guy and you get 3 points if you get it?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Let's all
Who
say
are
it.
the guys? I don't know them.
Okay, it's Darby Allin, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix, The Butcher, The Blade, Eddie Kingston, Shawn Spears, Billy, Austin Gunn, Jake Hager, Santana Ortiz, Chuck Taylor, Trent, and TBD. I'm going to go Lance Archer. That's what I'm doing. I'm going Lance Archer. Why are you making that face, Jason?
You know why I'm making that face.
Is that who you're taking?
Who's been one of the biggest Lance Archer marks on this podcast since the last New Japan Cup, when before he came over here, when he had great matches with Will Ospreay.
I think all three of us have been pretty high on Lance Archer since last year's G1.
Okay, fair.
Don't be claiming that shit.
Whatever, motherfucker. I got it on tape. God damn it.
You taking Lance Archer?
I'm taking Lance Archer. TBD is interesting because TBD
won last
time, and that was Brian Cage, but I just can't think of who TBD could be this time around. But yeah, I'm gonna
CM Punk.
Shit, don't even start.
Who you got, Zach?
Rusev.
Oh, mother.
That would be badass, man. That would be badass.
I feel like you can't really do TBD twice, can you? Like, and then because then it's just like,
shit, why can't you? Shit, why can't you?
Yeah.
Bill just looked at me doing just dropping the mic because you said Rusev, and it totally makes sense because it would totally work. He could come in right now, do a Brian Cage thing. God forbid if it was MJF and Rusev. Oh, that sounds like a horrible match. Moxley versus Rusev sounds even worse.
Who you got?
Oh, man. I am gonna go... I'm going Darby.
Okay, I knew that.
I was going to go Lance, but yeah. I'm making it interesting, guys.
I did not think of Rusev, you motherfucker.
Oh, shit. I shouldn't have done that. God dang it, I messed it up. So coming up next, we have Jurassic Express versus Young Bucks, and I believe this is for a number one contender, or is this is for nothing?
I think it's pride purposes only.
Okay, Jurassic Express versus Young Bucks. The Young Bucks have done lots of jobs. I can't see them doing this job, too. I'm taking the Young Bucks. Zach, who you got?
Yeah, for sure. Like, this is Young Bucks. This is, like, their road to redemption, right? Just like they had last week, or this week. They got to get some wins, and they got to get back on the path.
Jason?
Yeah, if we're playing the storyline game, if FTR wins the titles, Bucks basically were bumped out of the way because of Adam Page. So, yeah, it kind of has to make sense. We're going to build up to a crescendo where you have the Bucks and FTR probably at the end of the year at, I guess, the biggest tag team match AEW's seen to this date, arguably. So, yeah, we're taking the Bucks here.
Okay, coming up next in a Mimosa Mayhem match, which means you can win by pinfall submission or dunking your opponent in an 80-gallon vat of mimosa, we have Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. The end of a 14-week feud, as Jericho said. Zach, I'll let you go first here. Who you got?
I have Orange Cassidy. Sorry, I keep putting myself on mute. I probably shouldn't. But yeah, Orange Cassidy. This guy, Jericho, is going in that orange juice. No question.
Jason?
Yeah, that didn't feel like 14 weeks, which is a good thing. That means the ride hasn't been completely boring at any point. Yeah, it has to be Orange Cassidy here. I mean, I get it. It's Le Champion, Demigod, Demo God. I get it. I cannot see how this does not end with Orange Cassidy becoming a star once fans come back. This is creating new stars, as silly as I may think this may be.
I'm going Chris Jericho. This is one of those strange situations where you have, how Zach was talking earlier about new generation versus old generation. I don't think either one of these guys needs this win necessarily.
Jericho definitely doesn't.
Also, I don't think Cassidy really needs the win either. I think he's Teflon. I think him already getting that win over Jericho has kind of solidified him. This whole feud has solidified him as a star. I don't think he needs to win the feud. And also, Cassidy can lose and Jericho can still get dunked in the mimosa after the match. I'm going Jericho. It's just a gut feeling. I just can't see Cassidy taking 2 out of 3. I can't see Cassidy winning the rubber match. I'm going Jericho.
That's fair.
Last up, we have the champion, Jon Moxley, who is on what I would like to call a promo streak of just cutting incredible promos on MJF every single week. Moxley versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman. That's how American I am, dude. I just say freedom sometimes.
Shit.
Jason, I'm going to let you go first. What do you got?
Of course you would. Son of a bitch.
I'll go first if you want me to.
No. I'll go first. This has been really good. I don't have a good feel on who goes over. My gut tells me Moxley retains. So I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to pick Moxley. I don't have a good feeling about this. This kind of feels like a good spot to get MJF the title. If it's not Moxley winning, it would be some sort of false finish, C DQ, C count out, and then we run it back. But if you're putting my feet to the fire and asking for a clean win, I'm going to pick Moxley.
Well, who do you think's walking out with the belt?
Moxley?
Okay, all right. I'm taking Moxley also. I just think it's too early for MJF. He's another guy that I feel is kind of like he's not going to be defined down if he loses this match.
It would be his first singles loss.
Right. And first singles loss to Moxley is
not the worst thing.
Not that bad. So I'm taking Moxley also. 2 beer. I'll let you go.
Yeah, for that reason, that's my main reason that I'm picking Moxley. And my secondary reason is like MJF is a total heat machine. Like if the Predator came to Earth and the first person that he saw was MJF, like he wouldn't be able to see anybody. It would just be all red. Like his whole vision would just be red because it's just like heat. And you want people for heat. So just the fact there's no fans, it's Moxley.
Oh man, I just had a good idea. Wouldn't you like to see Predator remade with MJF in the Jesse Ventura role?
Dude, we need to get that shit done and just.
That's a pretty good idea, right?
It's a fucking amazing idea. We need to have
that's in my top three deep thing requests right now, which is pretty stacked list.
Okay, we need to superimpose his face onto that scene and put it on the fucking BFR.
I'll do it right when we're done here. We'll go upstairs. We'll start uploading this shit. I'll do it then.
Be Comedy fucking Central.
Okay, so that was our predictions.
from Ringside.
Okay, guys, we got some birthdays this week. T.J. Perkins, you remember him? Guy could work.
Yeah, he was on New. Still is on New Japan Strong.
Strong.
Yeah, that's my dog.
36. Karma, also known as Awesome Kong, best known for faking a pregnancy to get out of her WWE contract, which is,
Deep shit.
talk about living kayfabe. She is 43. Xavier Woods, get well soon or don't. He's 34. You should see the. I wish everybody could see the look that Jason just gave me.
God damn.
Hunico, he was the second Sin Cara, is 43. I'm kidding, Xavier Woods.
Black Lives Matter.
You're
damn
great.
it.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Braun
Until I leave the room.
Strowman. Listen, Braun Strowman. I did say that you could drive me, Zach, and Kevin Owens to the NXT earlier.
Right.
Braun Strowman is 37. Molly Holly is 43. That means that
That's
she was
it?
so fucking young back then.
Yeah, no shit.
Quote the Raven, nevermore. Raven is 56. Sarah Logan is 27.
With child.
Hey, everybody.
Watch out.
I know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to listen to ours. I feel like we got a lot of stuff done today, guys.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
We talked about a lot of wrestling.
I feel accomplished.
Yes. For F&B Eatery.
Check.
For Bo Geisman.
Check.
For Murray the Murray Man Murray.
Check.
For Lucha Chris.
Check.
For Two Beer Zach Pullman. For
Check.
Jason Cornelius Bell.
Never trust
I
a big
am
booty in the
Bill
smile.
Vagey. Everybody, Black Lives Matter and
Check.
boo the heels.